Daddy, can we play PlayStation?
I have to take the Zoom call. Just hold on a second. 1 second, guys. I've just got to be... Sorry, guys. Hang on. I'm just getting set up.
Hey, honey. I just came in for a drink. Do you want something?
No, I need to... Hold on. Let me try and do this call.
I can make coffee. You want some coffee?
No!
I can wash it.
Hang on. Okay, sorry, finally found some peace and quiet. It's clear that COVID has forced us all to completely adapt to this new reality. Come join us on November 21st at Surviving the School Year, an event that will give you tactics and strategies for how to handle all of the chaos caused by this pandemic.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to OpenExO Live. So great to be with you here today. I'm calling from Barbados, and if there's some background noise, I apologize. It's a little bit noisy here close to the beach. So today we have an amazing OpenExO Live because we have Fabian Noyola, who is a community member who works closely with us in the core team. And as you can see on the screen, there's amazing people all the way up into January next year. And as usual, before we get going, we're going to just share a little bit about Fabian from some of our community members. And we'll start off with this comment from Nancy. She just said, since our first conversation, I appreciate the kindness and help that Fabian showed me. Mixed with his knowledge and his desire to assist others, Fabian has the great ability to show you how to experiment with EXO. His guidance and help during the course and to get involved with the OpenExO community is a great gift to me. Next, we have from Minor. He said, what I admired the most from Fabian is that he's living his purpose to boost people and organizations to reach their fullest potential. Fabian is making a positive difference within the Latin American consultant community and the regional EXO movement by sharing unselfishly his skills in strategic planning, gamification, and business models so necessary within the 21st century. Next up, we have from Carlos. He just said, Fabian is one of the best mentors, ambassadors OpenExO has. He is able to inspire anybody who is looking for guidance on the most difficult things in life. As Viktor Frankl said, forces beyond your control can take away everything you possess, except one thing, your freedom to choose how you will respond to the situation. Victor gives us the knowledge, and Fabian is able to guide us on the how. He is always oriented on discovering purpose and then can guide you to make your brain explode and make your creativity arise from your inner self. Next, from Curtis, he just said, within minutes of meeting Fabian during my coaching certification, I knew that he was the kind of person you can trust as a coach. He walks that perfect balance between guiding and coaching, mindful of team dynamics and always keeping the team pointed in the right direction. Anyone would be lucky to have them on the innovation project. Fabian is a gift to the EXO world. EXO Latinos también. I hope I said that right. And lastly is from Maya. She just said, Fabian is a phenomenal advanced coach who has been supporting so many EXO community members through their certifications. I've never had so much fun doing a retrospective than when Fabian led our team. He is a brilliant thinker and a delight to work with. He also loves his video games. And if you would look at his library shelf on Zoom, which is a little bit blurred out today, you can see some icons of the video gaming world. So that's everything from everyone in the community. Well, not everyone in the community. There were so many more, and that's all we could share because we only have limited time. Fabian, welcome to OpenExO Live. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. It's amazing to have this kind of welcome I'm sure everyone says the same, but I feel so humbled and so happy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nancy, Minor, Maya, Carlos, and Curtis for those amazing words. And I'm amazing. Thank you for having me, Kevin. How are you?
It's a pleasure. No, I'm doing fantastically well. So, Fabian, you are in Mexico City. Can you tell the people who are watching how you came across the OpenExO community and how you joined? But actually, before you do that, one thing I've forgotten to do is to remind everyone you can ask questions in the chat. So if you're watching this on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on Facebook, all of those comments and chats come through to us here. So please ask questions, say hi, and so that we can get the best out of this conversation. So Fabian, how did you join the OpenExO community?
Great. First of all, I'm not actually in Mexico City. I'm in Guanajuato, which is like a 3-hour drive. But I always say Mexico City because of the time difference. It's easier to just look for the time in Mexico City. So, did I start here in the OpenExO community? It was a couple of years ago. I've always been involved in the in innovation projects, and I was working with this company. And my boss at that time told me about the exponential methodology, the EXO framework. I ended up registering to a course with Growth Institute. And from there, it was like just a natural jump to get to know the community, started to talk to some community members. And then I did all my certifications. And apparently, I did a very good work. And now I'm teaching the consultant and the trainer certifications in Spanish. So that's very exciting. And I'm also very excited because the Latin American community has been growing and growing. The Spanish-speaking side of OpenExO is taking a lot of strength lately. So that's also something I'm very excited about.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. This, of course, is in English. I don't speak Spanish, something I probably should. But you're right. We have about a third of the community, the global community, is actually Spanish speaking, which really is amazing. And a lot of EXO work has happened in Latin America. So that is really awesome. And so, I mean, Fabian, the one thing that Carlos mentioned in his comment was the fact that you really build around purpose, that what you're always speaking about is purpose. So, in the world we live in today, all organizations should, start with purpose. Not all do, but what do you think is important for organizations to start there, to start with purpose?
Yeah, of course. That is a big, deep question, and I have a graph here that I want to show. Just a second. I'm gonna show it here. And what usually happens in the world with companies, talking with different companies, working with different companies, is that usually we tend to see business as either one of these two options, right? On your left, you can see that business is always around profit, is always around being serious. You need to do this, all the tasks, all the planning, all seriousness, all the suits, all the ties. And on the other hand, we have these kind of companies that are purpose-driven, but they are usually looked at like they were like some kind of hippies, or they are those charity organizations, or they're just doing purpose. If you do purpose, you're not doing business, right? But reality is totally different. You can actually be doing both, and that's what you need to be doing. There's a lot of conversation around this topic. There are a lot of authors working on this. There's one that's Aaron Hurst, that he says that the digital economy, the information economy, just passed us, and the next economy is a purpose economy. And we have actually some interesting numbers around this. The companies that are actually built on purpose, not just saying they have a purpose, but actually have it built in their DNA, having strategy around it, are performing 42% more than the usual, the regular companies. And there are a lot of other numbers here, employee engagement, and also for the S&P 500, a company with a real purpose and acting on that purpose is actually doing 10 times better than the regular companies. So purpose is one of the topics that I'm more fascinated about, because it also has to do with people. And one may think that the company's purpose is something disconnected from the personal purpose. It is not like that at all. And we can talk a little more about that. But the big goal here,
So,
just to close this thought, is that companies need to act on purpose, because if they want to do better, if they want to be truly exponential, if they want to create a better impact in the world, they need to be connected to purpose.
yeah, I mean, you preaching to the choir. Well, with me at least, for sure. But I completely agree with you there. But the one thing that companies do struggle with, though, is the fact that they have this purpose, but they're not actually living that purpose, right?
Yeah.
That it's more about, purpose washing the organization, because they've seen that purposeful organizations are doing better. So, what do they really need to do to not have that happen, to actually be living that purpose? What do you suggest?
Yeah, and this is something I see very often with all the consultants that I have met through the certifications. They usually, during those certifications, they work with companies, and they approach these companies, and they tell them about the EXO model, and there's this big piece of the purpose of the MTP, right? And then some founders, they say, yes, I want purpose. Some others say, I don't need purpose. I am doing just fine. I do a lot of money. Why would purpose be important for us? And for them, I once had these conversations with one person that said, purpose is not important for my company. I'm doing great. And I told him, well, it may not be important for you at this point, but just think about this. If your client sees 3 or 4 different options in the same industry, in the same niche that you're working on, and you have another competitor that has a purpose that will allow this customer to actually bring something positive into the world, who do you think they're gonna choose? He just stared blank at me, like, even if we're not doing this for just growth and contribution, it is on the self-interest of the company to have a purpose, to act on it, because people, millennials, and the younger generations are actually looking on how to make a dent in the universe, and companies should allow them to do this, right?
Yeah.
And the other part is that the purpose should not only be a pretty statement that you have just in your webpage. It actually needs to be the center of all the strategic planning on the company. That's something that it rarely happens. There's also this the concept of purpose is something that you see like very far away. Like using the words in the EXO methodology, the MTP is like this. Your North Star, right? Is the guide, how you're guided, how you're actually going towards. But a star is really far away. Like, it's so far away that in your day-to-day you don't see it. You're not aware of it. So you need to do something to actually take that star and bring it to Earth somehow. And there's a link there that what I've been doing with the people I work with, and a couple of courses I'm creating around purpose, is to take the purpose and then connect it to some big goal that you can actually then make some OKRs or some planning around. It's like a moonshot, but you have purpose, then a moonshot, and then from that moonshot you can actually plan on how to do it. So this purpose should be the filter or the guiding principle on what projects does the company actually do, how people are treated, how people are compensated. It should be the whole soul of the organization, and we're just leaving it in a web page, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Like you say, it needs to actually be living, right? And I think that one thing that a lot of organizations perhaps get wrong is that they think of they think of business in the wrong sense, right? They're thinking of business as win-lose, whereas that's not necessarily the case, right? Like an organization and business is not actually win-lose. It's like a long-term, and Simon Sinek talks about an infinite game, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're working with that in mind, then I think you can build an organization that has a living purpose, right?
Totally. And I'm gonna double click on that infinite game definition in case people are not familiar with it. In game theory, there are two kinds of games. The finite games, like a football match, you know who the players are, you know the rules, you know what you need to do to win. You need to score goals, and that's it, right? And you know who you're against. The number of players is the same on both sides, and we play business. We do business thinking this is a finite game. We just focus on profit. We just focus on having the most money, being the best on what we do. I mean, just by competition, by selfish competition. And we're not looking at what the consequences are longer term of what we're doing. On the opposite side, we have infinite games, which they have unknown players. You're competing against who knows. There's not a definite time, and the rules are not clear either. That looks more like a business than a finite game. And actually, the goal here is not to win. It's actually how long can you stay in the game. So if you have that in mind, the way you plan your resources, the way you hire, the way you reward people, the way you're looking at what you're doing to the world is totally different. Simon Sinek has this example of when you're playing a finite game in a company, you reward the person that has the most sales during the month, but that person could be the most toxic and the destructive person. You're giving them everything. You're giving them the most money, the most recognition. And on the other hand, you can have someone who's very good. He or she doesn't have like the biggest numbers on that month, but they are growing steadily month after month, and that's something that we need to foster and that we need to look for. So just to bring this home, the thing here is that these companies are focusing on the wrong needs, the wrong human needs. These companies are sometimes just built to make money, to bring some kind of significance to their founders. Like, I am the best. I am making the most money. I don't care who I am stepping on. I'm being the best here. Or they're looking for certainty, and making money is the most important part. What needs to happen is that this is one of the biggest truths I've learned recently, is that real happiness and real fulfillment in life just happens when you switch these kind of needs, these kind of selfish needs, to the ones that are linked to contribution and growth. So when we talk about purpose, when we talk about personal purpose, or when we talk about a company's purpose, it needs to be linked to contribution and growth. If we do that switch, everything will change. The world will be so different and more humane.
100%. Sorry, I lost my unmute button there. So I mean, 100% correct there. And so, what are you seeing, Fabian, in terms of, within businesses trying to match that sort of personal purpose with the organizational purpose? Should organizations be helping individuals find their personal purpose in order to match it? What is your thinking around that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I'd like to start talking about these two topics. Like, we usually talk about personal purpose and a company's purpose like something disconnected, but they are not. When we talk about purpose, we're actually talking about a story. It's an origin story, like a superhero, or if you know the hero's journey, there's always something that shapes this hero and actually gives them some kind of mission or something that they need to do in order to save the world, or something like that, right? But in our case, as humans, purpose come from our story, and specifically, purpose is shaped in our earlier years, and is actually a result of the most painful moments in our lives. So if you think about this, there are lots of people that are committed. They have funded companies to save the world, to cure some diseases, and this is because somewhere in their life they lost someone, or something happened. They had a painful experience, and they transform this experience into something that allows them to contribute and growth. And this is the real source of purpose. Then, talking about companies, a company is actually like a living entity. If you see the company as a group of people, it's actually a living thing. So the brain, the personality of this being, is actually the reflection of their founders. The purpose, their abilities, their blind spots, their ego even is there, and it's the same reflection. So when we talk about in that line, we need to be aware of what kind of being we're creating. If this company, this being, is actually a destructive being, or is actually nurturing the world. And I lost my train of thought there just a second. And the company actually, you can find the purpose of a company. It usually is the purpose of the founders. It usually is, because it's like this entity they gave birth to. But we've found that not all companies are born from purpose, and this is the biggest difficulty when you talk about purpose to a company that was not born from purpose. They don't find it. They don't seem to be able to picture it. And this just came out this week, and it was super interesting. I was working with one person that actually had this problem. Like, my company was born for profit. Where do I find purpose? First, take a look at your own purpose, or the people that founded the company. If it's not there, another way to do it is to take a look at the purpose of the people working in the company. So ideally, in a longer workshop, you can do like a purpose discovery session for everyone, and then do like this tree of purposes, and end up with a bigger one, like an umbrella of purposes, and that will be the company's purpose. If you don't have time, what we did is we did this fast experiment. It's interesting. I'm gonna have the results tomorrow, actually. The founder will send an email to the company and told people to share their experiences, their stories of a moment where they felt this growth, this contribution. They felt complete being part of the company. Then in these stories of growth and contribution, the purpose is hidden somewhere. So getting these different stories, getting the data, and come up with a purpose around it, around the people that are actually working on it. And maybe the founder doesn't see purpose there right now, but the people working on it have somehow embedded their purpose in the company. So you need to find that. So
yeah,
two ways of doing it.
Okay, yeah, that's really interesting. We have a few people who've made some comments and asked some questions. This one over here, I can't read. So from Mauricio, maybe
I can translate it.
Yeah,
it's more like a
comment.
Yeah, a comment. Great participation. To do something that has a massive impact, it requires a great purpose that you can share with many people.
Awesome. And the other question that I have here is, well, Fabian, you keep talking about purpose. What is your purpose?
Okay, I always struggle a little bit when I translate it to English, but it's there are like different ways on how you can express purpose, and I love the MTP from OpenExO, but somehow it is like too short, and when you maybe have to add something. So my MTP is humans to their fullest potential, like
Yeah,
that, right? And the piece that is not always easy to communicate is that you have a why, but you still need to express somehow how you're contributing, how you're impacting, and I want to help humans to get to their fullest potential, so they can have full lives, and then they can have actually a positive impact in the world. So
awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's it.
we're pretty aligned there. I mean, for me, it's about finding people's potential, and so that I want people to find their potential, right? Because that's when we can really transform the world. That goes right nicely into Rodrigo's comment here, but which also just says, ask Fabian about his Purpose Finder. So tell us about Purpose Finder.
Nice. Thank you, Rodrigo, for that cue. Yeah, so this year, during the pandemic, this topic excites me, and I love this topic. So I wanted to build something around it. So I created Purpose Finder, which is a small startup right now, trying to bring all this knowledge around purpose and bring it to people and companies. So basically, what we're doing is to have some way to share this knowledge, to make it practical, to make it easier for people to find their purpose, but not only find their purpose, but to actually act on it. And that's a bigger challenge there. So I've actually created this it's a 5-week course on just discovering your purpose and created a plan around it. And it touches like every aspect of someone's life. And it's been amazing. I made this pilot group, and we're about to finish next week. And I'm eager to open this to the world and share it. And Purpose Finder is my way of helping people to reach their potential, because I believe people can only reach their potential when they know their purpose and they act on it.
Absolutely, Fabian. It's been fantastic chatting to you. We could keep on going, but we have to call it now. So thanks so much for joining us. Anything you want to share as we close off the call today?
Just an invitation to everyone. If you haven't found your purpose, you need to start looking for it, because everything you do and everything you define as happiness is tied to your purpose. So if you don't feel fulfilled at this point, if you feel that something's missing in your life, it maybe is because you're not acting on your purpose. So make a commitment with yourself to find your purpose. I have a free course on how to find your purpose on Spanish. You can look at that. And if you have your purpose, you also have a big responsibility of actually having a contribution, act on it, and share it. Because remember, purpose is not a selfish thing. It only comes to life when you share it, when you contribute, when you give to other people. So your life is not about yourself. Your life is about the people you inspire and the people you touch, the people you help. Thank you.
Absolutely, Fabian. And you're right. When you share your purpose, you can find others around the world, and because of the world we live in, that's very connected, that have a similar purpose, and you never know what happens when you actually share. So thanks so much for joining us, Fabian. It's always great chatting to you. I know I'm going to be speaking to you soon, because we do chat, and looking forward to meeting you in person in January in Mexico. Not in Mexico City, but in Mexico. But thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone. And see you in the OpenExO community. Take care.
Bye-bye. So that's Fabian Noyola. Always great to chat to Fabian. And purpose is so important. If you are a parent and you're wondering, can I have purpose because of lockdown and my kids being at home? We are running an event this weekend, this Saturday, and we're going to end off the call today just with a bit more information about surviving the school year.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily Safrani, creator of the Surviving the School Year online virtual event taking place this Saturday. I'm hoping we'll see you there. A few notes to help you understand what's happening. We've curated a really lovely afternoon of speakers that help us as parents think about some of the mental health and wellness issues we may be facing since we've been stuck with this pandemic life. We have opportunities for connecting with other parents and brainstorming, and a really fascinating discussion around activating and innovating. I know for myself, in Toronto, I'm nervous about how we get through the winter when going outside becomes much less of an option. We'd love to have you join us. Put the program on in the background in your living room, in your kitchen, and come and go as makes sense for you. We'll have some really lovely family bands. It promises to be a fun afternoon and some really nice programming for the kids as well. Come and join us.